Yeah, he's a Methodist Wesleyan pastor. He started a big megachurch. He's written lots of devotionals and book studies. This is, it's a book study slash stewardship drive slash, I think, what I take away from it, what I remember through the years, is a reminder of what we do and why we do it when it comes in terms of finances and giving and sharing. And we have this process we go through. And we are beginning this process on week 1, which means we are going to talk about dreams and when they become nightmares. But in order to shatter your dreams, we must first talk about your dreams. So let's go. Anybody here as a child remember having dollhouses in the big house in the neighborhood? Yeah? No? Yeah. And you wanted the big house and you wanted the big dream. And then when it came to other things in life, it kind of resembled that in play. We do this more so as adults, experiencing and advocating for joy when it comes to vacations. Some studies show that if you plan a vacation far out in advance enough, you'll actually get more joy in the planning and imagining the vacation than the actual vacation. Some people feel this with holidays, right? You get prepared for the holidays, you have these traditions, favorite foods, people are gathering, preparing for the holiday, and then the holiday comes, and what do you feel? Yeah, yeah. I feel this way. We have another holiday coming up, which is Halloween, and I don't like the gore, violent stuff, but being a child born on Halloween, I like the creativeness. I like the days when kids made their costumes. I like the fact that it's, to me, very Christian. Everybody gets candy, rich or poor, right? You come to your door, you get candy. And now I know many advocate that only the little kids get candy. I would like to respectfully disagree. I think if any child comes to your door, you give them candy, including the teenagers. Those kiddos are making a choice to come ask for candy, and they're having fun with their friends, and they're not doing other mischief. So, give candy with a generous heart. I like Halloween. I like the costumes, and I have some favorite Halloween decorations, and I give them personalities. I like the decorating with the kids. I like decorating the yard. Yesterday, with Donna downside, she kindly gave us some of her Halloween decorations, and we had to introduce the new skeleton with the old skeletons. And I probably anthropomorphized them too much. But the new skeleton wasn't feeling like he belonged with the others, and he wanted to ride a bike, so we made him ride a bike. So now we have Donna's skeleton riding a bike. I like to give them characters and fun, and I just think it's joyful and playful. But the actual night of staying up all night and going to the door and having my silly movies disrupted is not my favorite. Kevin and I will rock, paper, scissors, or try to recall who did it last year, who gets to take the kids. And unfortunately, the older my kids get, the more they can withstand the cold, so the more we are out later. The actual day, I'm not a fan of, but I like the lessons. I like how, if it's done well, you prepare children for knowing that some things in the world may be scary, but God is always present. And I like that preparation. But the actual holiday is when it kind of falls down. And I think as adults, as we get older and older, and we have this awakening, we realize how lost we are. So I have some funny statistics here that might be interesting. And this is when our dreams come tumbling down. And I'm not usually a doomsayer on the Sunday morning pulpit, but here I go. In debt today, which age group do you think has the most debt? Do you think it is the Gen Z, 18 to 23-year-olds? Do you think it's the millennials, 24 to 39-year-olds? Do you think it's the Gen Xers, 40 to 55, which is my husband and I's group? Do you think it's the baby boomers, 56 to 74? Or do you think it's the silent ones, they call, who are 75 and older?
Boomers.
Gen X.
Gen X at $135,000 on average. But baby boomers are close second. The baby boomers, aged 56 to 74, have an average debt of around $96,000, and that's not including your house.
Wow.
So then when you think about church budgets, and we're looking at what's coming up, people will say, well, the budget's really tight, type, well, that's because your dominant groups are really broke.
Yes.
The dominant groups are really broke. In fact, the millennials, who are your young people, who should be traveling the world and getting to know God and all people, places, and creation, and growing as a person, age 24 to 39-year-olds have about, basically bad debt, $78,000 in debt on average. So then we live in this world and everybody is arguing and mad, right? They want whoever was good at playing Monopoly to be in charge of the government because maybe that'll help us. But does that work? No, the reality is America is in debt. And the groups that could do the most good, the churchgoers and other folks, which, by the way, churchgoers on average give more than their neighbors to charity, are broke. And it used to be where in a time when young people were broke or in a rough spot, you could call up mom and dad for help. But if mom and dad are baby boomers, they're second leading in debt. So all the dreams that we grew up in the Santa Claus days, especially in the 60s when Santa Claus became really popular, or at least the Santa Claus we know today, and by the way, you all got Santa Claus money, so I'm going to go be a little rough on the guy today. We grew up thinking if you were a good kid, you got something from Santa, right? And we have raised generations to have this world philosophy that if you're a good kid, you're going to have a big house. If you're a good parent, you're going to be able to take your kids on great vacations and do all this great stuff. And then those parents are trying to pay the bills or trying to have a holiday, and they put it on their credit card. Because it's not their kids' fault, they're good. And the grandparents do the same thing. And they put it on their credit card debt. And the cycle just goes around and around, and it gets bigger and bigger. And yes, absolutely, costs of expenses have gone up year to year. But we as a group, as a culture, as a nation, have conflated goodness with wealth. And we put ourselves on that sort of unreachable bar that we ourselves are struggling to meet, and then we make our neighbors feel this unreasonable bar. But that's not what God teaches. In fact, the very first Christmas had nothing to do with money other than the government wanting to get prepared for their taxes. So yeah, they ended up in Bethlehem. But the real first Christmas wasn't a clean house. There wasn't clean dishes. They were in a barn with a crying baby, with mess everywhere and animals. They were broke. The first Christmas didn't begin in wealth. Does that make Jesus any less of a baby than a baby born in a palace? No. Our culture has shifted so far from God. And it is so easy to point the finger at this party or that party or this person or that person. But really, I think if we're being honest, we are all to blame. Myself included. I was a foster kid. I never personally liked Santa Claus, so it doesn't hurt me too much to be hard on the guy today. Because as a foster kid, I talked about this, we would come back from Christmas, and all the bullies got the best gifts. And I knew right from the get-go, this dude was awesome. I know that's not his original story, yada yada. But we as a culture continually live into these false narratives. That if you're good, you'll have stuff. And I think this has been going on for a very long time. One of the things in particular I was looking at was when I was doing my research, I was reading Rethinking the American Dream. There's this great article, and you can kind of see a picture of that from the original in your top of your bulletin, what used to be considered the original American Dream. And you can see a home on the front of your bulletin cover. And in the bulletin cover, you can also see that they don't have any neighbors. That's my favorite. neighbors, but all the neighbors came to their house to see them getting ready for a vacation, and they have a canoe. But it's a pretty modest house. And what have we noticed in real estate? Homes get bigger and bigger and bigger. Myself, I love a big home because I like quietness. And so you can put the kids on one side and the other. I thought my boys would want their own bedrooms. We moved out of the parsonage, bought a house, but my boys still share the same room. We don't need bigger. So naturally, I feel it with relatives, but that's another story. But we keep wanting more and more and more. And in doing so, we tell people and our own family members, because you're good, you get good gifts or you get good things. And we are not teaching what it means to really be a Christian. I know he's kind of controversial. Remember Norman Rockwell's work? And he was inspired, it's a little history lesson, by Franklin Roosevelt's State of the Union speech in 1941. He gives a speech about 4 freedoms that he says are inalienable. Anybody could want the better dream. Anybody could want these things. Do you remember what those 4 freedoms were? Oh, this is good. Okay. He inspires Norman Rockwell to make 4 of these beautiful paintings. And the paintings become so popular, representing each of the freedoms, that the government commandeers them to do a show to make war bonds to fund World War II. And this is kind of the back and forth, the inspiration, and then eventually the government commandeering them. But the first painting is freedom of speech and expression everywhere in the world. And so that's this gentleman standing up and speaking at a town hall. That's Norman Rockwell's first one. And the second one was freedom of every person to worship God in his own way everywhere in the world. So you see different people worshiping over here. The third one, this is the one we're going to talk a little bit about. The third is freedom from want, which translated into world terms means economic understanding, which will secure to every nation a healthy peacetime life for inhabitants everywhere in the world. For Norman Rockwell, it wasn't freedom to want whatever, freedom to dream of whatever thing you want to buy. It was freedom from wanting. Freedom from not always being starving, or freedom to walk away from that. And finally, the fourth freedom, and here's where language matters, from fear, which translated into a world terms means a worldwide reduction of armaments to such a point and in such a thorough fashion that no nation will be in a position to commit an act of physical aggression against any neighbor anywhere in the world. And it's the parents tucking in their 2 little kids goodnight. Which one of these 4 was the most bought throughout history? Number 1, freedom of speech, freedom to worship in your own way, freedom from want, or freedom from fear? From what? What do you think?
Fear.
From fear? Yeah, it's the last one, it's from fear. And I think that's the saddest part of it all, is even our grandparents, our great-grandparents, the thing they wanted most in our world, this one was the close follow-up, but it was freedom from fear. The thing we wanted most. And I find it very sad that after all this wanting and buying and rewarding good boys and good kids with good toys, and then continuing in the cycle and the debt growing, what is the thing most parents deal with on a regular basis? Fear. Do you send your kids to public school in the fear that they're going to get shot? There was another school shooting close to Kevin's brothers where we were just in Colorado, another high school, a competitor school. Do I send my kids to school and this is every parent? Or do I homeschool and try to keep them a little bit safer, but then go into a mall? See, the greed led to this, and now we can't even give our kids the one thing we really wanted. We really needed. When our dreams became our nightmares, we ended up with this mess that we're all in. And we're in it together. And there's no one person to blame. I think we are all to blame. And I think our grandparents are to blame, and our great-grandparents. And I don't think it came from a bad place. There's this time-old saying, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. I don't think we ended up where we're at because we're bad, or we're a bad country. I don't think we ended up in this rough place because we didn't mean well. But I do think we are in this spot. And I don't think we can solve this problem by blaming each other. I think we solve this problem with each of us here, one person at a time, helping our neighbors to help solid them, and to be honest with them. I tell people right now from the get-go, I only give my kids 3 Christmas presents. End of it. Because Jesus got 3, you get 3. That was the number we said. We solve this problem with yourself, your own family, your own life. We set the example, we help our neighbors, and we explain to them. I don't know if we're ever going to solve Caesar. Caesar's always been out there. But I know we make a difference. And I know the work we do matters. And I believe strongly God is calling us to this work. So as we work towards sound financial advice and working through these problems, we do it together without blame, without shame. That doesn't get us anywhere. We do it through God, in God's way. And maybe, by the end of this sermon series, God will be the biggest one again. Just as it is my prayer and I hope that God once again becomes the center of your life. And if you're like, Pastor Catherine, that's a heavy load. I don't know if I can get that done in that 20-minute sermon we made sure you keep under. Actually, you guys told me 12 minutes and I said 20. But if you'd like to join me on Monday nights, you'll see in the bulletin, we're going to do a Zoom meeting from 7 to 8. And we're going to be following along in Adam Hamilton's book. I have some here. You can make a donation to the church for $10, or you can just take the book. I'm not charging. It came out of my, I think, education budget or something that you all gratefully donate with your funds. You can use the book, follow along, or you can just join us on Monday nights. But it is my prayer, or, here's another fun one, you can share it, the book or the class, with somebody in your family that's struggling. But when you talk to them, you don't blame them or shame them. You relate to them. You say, you know what, this is partly my fault. This is partly my fault. And I want to help you. I encourage you to join me on Monday nights if that's something that you would like to do. I look forward to the sermon series. I know today was a downer, but I think it was one that is important we all talk about and we experience and grow together. And I pray that this week, as you think about the seeds from your childhood, how they have grown into thorns and bushes in your own faith journey. You are all loved, and you are precious. And through God's help, we can do great works. And I find it fascinating, and I didn't design it this way, that we're honoring Eva, who knew this lesson to the end of her life. Amen? Amen.